I'm Rodd Duff from Insights and Straight Talk. And with that, folks, I am out. Hello and welcome, everybody. So, all right, grab your coffee, your tea, whatever you have in your hands. Because today is not about another headline. It's not about another guest. And it's not about another opinion. Today is about where this week took us and where it's asking us to go next. Some weeks are about programming. This one was about pressure on families, pressure on institutions, pressure on the stories we are told and the ones we are expected to believe without asking who benefits. As the week unfolded, one thing became clear. None of these conversations were random. They were layered. They were intentional. And they all circled the same question from different directions. How do people move from feeling informed to actually having agency? We started this week on the page with a column called From Community to Commerce, Why Providing Still Matters. Showing up matters. Presence matters. Today's community matters, but presence without preparation eventually collapses. Community does not have to survive on sentiment. Families do not stabilize on hope alone. Dignity requires something sturdier than good intentions. It requires provision, and provision requires responsibility. That theme carried straight into the conversations. Early in the week, we asked the deeper question from the show, tech director to sovereign life. Who is responsible for the life you are building once the old script stops working? It's not a tech question. That's not an AI question. That's a human authorship question. Agency does not begin when the world changes. It begins when authorship returns. Then Barbie said something, as she usually does, that was very simple and powerful. Structure is compassion with a plan. That line landed. It landed because love without structure leaves people exposed. Compassion without planning does not protect anyone. Preparation is not cold. It is care with foresight. Preparation is care with foresight. Then we widen the lens a bit. In Captain Set Sail Returns, we talked about power, media, and managed chaos. Not party politics, power politics. How outrage is monetized, how narratives are literally engineered, how the middle class gets fractured while accountability disappears. People are not uninformed, they're overwhelmed, flooded with headlines, starved for clarity. Hold on, folks. I just totally messed up there. Hey, there's 119 people on. I appreciate you being here. Please subscribe, smash the like button. So, agency does not begin when the world changes, right? That's where I was at. It begins when sorry, my screen shut down and I apologize for that. But authorship begins when authorship returns. Then Barbie said something simple and powerful, as I said before. Compassion without planning does not protect anyone. Preparation is not cold. It is care with foresight. Then we widened the lens to Captain Set Sail again and talked about politics, not party politics, but power politics, how outrage is monetized, how narratives are engineered, how the middle class gets fractured when accountability disappears. People are not uninformed, okay? They are overwhelmed, flooded with headlines, starved for clarity, and in the middle class of all that noise, something quieter showed up. Poems and pages. Not optimism, not slogans, just the honest question many people carry. I'm not okay, but is everything going to be all right? That's not weakness. That is honesty. Fear left unnamed turns into avoidance, silence, literally survival thinking now, which is why the week did not stop there. In from radio to brand authority, we talked about ownership. Ownership of voice, of value, of systems. Expression without structure evaporates, okay? If you do not own your own systems, somebody else will monetize your effort. Then we brought it down to the ground with Wall Street tools for Main Street investors. One of the quietest fears in America is not understanding how money actually works. Avoidance feels safe until it compounds. Literacy restores agency, structure restores confidence, and that brings us here. Open Mic Friday. This is not a recap. Today we turn the lens inward, right here, towards stewardship. I want to say this plainly. This week, I started applying these same principles to my own finances. Thanks to a great suggestion by my eldest son, I started using AI tools. The AI tools I have and have been learning, I started using them as assistants, reviewing subscriptions, understanding spending, not to chase more money, but to understand what it is going out and why it's going out. This is not hustle culture. This is stewardship, okay? Structure over fear, clarity over avoidance, agency and practice. That is the stage we're standing on today. And now let's go ahead. Let's just open up the mic here, okay? I'm gonna bring up the question position. Okay, we got 324 people on. Thank you for being here. Please subscribe, like this episode, and stay connected with our show. Join our Substack at insightstraighttalk.substack.com. Subscribe. These things are more powerful than you can imagine, okay? And for those things, oh boy, I am really challenged today, folks. I'm going to bring up the comments section. I don't have a real structure going today, so I'm a little bit tweaked, I think. I want to come back down here. I want to turn that off. Why is that? Oh, I'm in the chat. I've got to go to the notes, turn that off. Let me come over here. I need to do a little bit of maintenance here. Normally I would have a guest on, pop off, and be able to do these things behind the scenes so I don't waste your folks' time. But that's not the case today. So I am doing this. So as I said in the opening monologue, folks, thank you all for being here. This is a true honor to be here, to be doing this show, and to be going over some of the things that we talked about throughout the week. We're kind of changing, or we're pivoting, turning the lens, these different subjects, these different comments. We're moving from showing up, from being part of your family, from working from the inside out, challenging yourself to become, there's something I said once, and still working on that. Oh, let me do that. Too much light. Yeah, that looks pretty bad. That looks pretty good there, folks. Doesn't it? But this working from the inside out, right? Rebuilding yourself from the inside out. At the end of the day, what you need to do is be somebody who is worthy of a partner, somebody who is, shows up. And now today we're talking about able to elegantly and through dignity provide for your family, yourself, your household, your community, your neighbors, right? I'm not looking at this like socialistically, but just responsibly. This whole program, this whole platform is based on bringing the great middle class together, one conversation at a time. It's about creating this pilot program, which I'll be talking about more in my column number 7. I'll be sending off here shortly. It will come out next Friday, and in that pivot, we're really starting to look at finances, as I said, and providing. As I said in the column, in the opening, I'm now starting to turn and use these tools more extensively. AI is here. You'll see in a couple of shows coming up, we're doing AI in real estate, AI in medicine, the medical practice, AI. We just had AI in stock, in creating stocks, and being a what do you call it? Buying and selling stocks. Very, very good, very, very good program. That was very interesting. And then we also talked about AI in voice and media production, storytelling in this week's conversations. So it was a very beneficial week. It was very useful, and it was very exciting. Next week is another full week, and I'm very excited to talk to you guys about that later. Looks like I said, we have about 325 people on, and I am ready for you guys to go ahead and start shouting out some questions and some interesting comments and input that you may have for us. Let's talk about the Regeneration School project for a second. It's really in my column. It's a pilot program that we're proposing to initiate into Mangum and then Brewer County and then community after community scalable. That pilot program is about a 5th core subject. So you have math, you have English, you have history, you have, what do you have? Math, history, English, and science. Sorry. And then a 5th core project, let's call it, for now as a placeholder, let's call it life. And what that project is doing, okay, questions. Hey, Leah Filmlaw, you've been on it more regularly lately. I appreciate you being here. It's very exciting. I'll get to your subject in a minute. But as far as the Regeneration School project and in accompanying to that, Voices at the Table, the Leaf Lab program, these are all, let's call them partnerships, handoffs, in that in the K through 12 educational system that we have. In kindergarten and first, it's a building on blocks kind of approach to our kids' learning and preparing for life. So when you're in kindergarten, first, second, whatever grade, you're 1 + 1, right? So that program, supported by professional counselors to sit alongside educators, you're now having in that 5th core project program the ability to learn about life, mental health, how to adjust, how to handle, how to be a responsible person, about finance, about basically preparing kids to for more than just memorizing, having transcripts and test scores. It's about preparing kids for life, for what's coming, and what's necessary for them to have the fullest life of their own. All the way to the point of these counselors start understanding through time what your interests are, what that child's interests are, and the educational system starts directing them towards whatever that may be. In Europe, they have a similar concept there, in that early on, children are directed towards, make it simple, sciences, or towards sports, or towards academia, depending on what they really show interest in, a passion in, and thus the best space for them to succeed and excel. In that program, going through the educational system, within a generation or two of kids going through that system, they're now getting into the final stages of high school, fully ready to enter that next step of their life, whether that's trade school, whether that's college, whether that's continuing education of any kind, or into the workforce. But at that point, very 11th, 12th grade, Leaf Labs is handed that child. So there's a handoff that continues, and Leaf Lab is a very exciting program as well, in that it now takes a real world experience. So a child, a teenager, a young adult enters the lab and picks different projects that actual businesses have presented to the lab for different students to work on, collaborate together in groups, individually at times, just depending on the project. They're actually looking for more students because the program is so successful. But these are and hit the comments if you're interested. Let me know. I can hook you up. But then that goes on their resume. So we're preparing kids for life in the 5th core project in high school. And as we're handing that as that is finalizing in their education, their traditional educational K through 12, a handoff goes to Leaf Labs. I don't know why I keep calling it eLeaf, but Leaf Labs. And in that lab, they now get a digital footprint of projects they've successfully handled, potential straight-in work to an employer that had that project or those projects. They work on different projects and in their own space and time. Something like 5 to 10 hours a week, somewhere. I don't even think it's 10, but less than that. And what happens is they get buttons, that they've accomplished certain tasks and achievements, meaning working together with other people, management, project management, and these different capabilities. We'll get in more to that, get more into that later. I actually have a meeting this afternoon with them to start talking about what it is that they're looking to frame on. It's exciting. The things are starting to really move and go in a direction that I couldn't ask for more. So we got a lot of questions here. The original question, Leah, film law. How are you, Leah? How do you personally define agency in everyday life? So if you know what an agency is like a voice, is like, you have credibility to the outside world. So that's my understanding. That's my definition. However that fits into that model, right? However that wording is correct. Is my hat off a little bit there? Looks like it's a little off here. That looks better. A little more aligned. My lighting's a little better, but it's still horrible. The gentleman we had on yesterday, that was an awesome show. That was another podcaster. If you watch that show, look at how his lighting is compared to how my lighting is. So I asked him, I said, hey, how do you do that? I've always had an issue. And he told me about this product and sent me the link on it this morning. We're going to do more shows. That guy was awesome. I used to be on the radio, which I'm very jealous of, which is awesome. But anyway, as far as agency in everyday life, basically it starts with authenticity. If you're authentic in who you are going to present that on a daily and minute by minute basis to whoever you interact with. Having agency is that interaction, and having that interaction be positive, be with in a result that end in a result or have a result that is respected, agreed with or not, challenged, hopefully, respectfully, and having that interaction be completely positive and sustainable. That's agency. Agency is the ability for one's self to be better than they have been in the past. In other words, growing and being an active participant in their own life is how you create and present and define agency in real life. If you want more on that later, if I missed the point of what you were looking for there, please hit me up again. And Tony, where do people usually get stuck when moving from awareness to action? Yeah, we talked about that one yesterday, didn't we? Let me think about this. Actually, the day before yesterday. Awareness to action. So getting stuck is a lot about fear. You know, if you're stuck, there's a reason you're stuck, right? And it's likely not that you don't have the ability to move forward. What it's likely about is that you're fearful about moving forward, that you're fearful about what the unknown is. And so when you're moving from awareness to action, so now I'm aware of something. I know it's happening. I'm aware that it's there. I'm stuck because I'm not confident. I don't have the courage or the confidence to move forward. We talked yesterday about this thing I saw in a movie once, and it was this one was about a young boy. And there was an older man. I think it was I don't think it was his dad. I think it was like a friend of the family person. I don't remember, to be honest with you. But this young boy really liked this girl. I mean, we're talking young teenager kind of boy. We all know that feeling. Very, very concerned, dying that, I can't talk to her. I can't tell her. We live in that fear, right? So he was stuck. All right. And this man who's sitting next to him, an obvious friend, again, I don't think it was his father, but great advice. He said, look, you need to get through 8 seconds of devastating fear. Just get through 8 seconds of devastating fear. That's how you get unstuck. In the movie, anyway, he did. And it was quite a relationship. Anyway, that's where getting stuck is. When you aren't authentic enough with yourself to have agency and to be able to have the confidence, not survival, but the confidence of moving forward. Great question, both of you guys, Leah and Gijal. Great questions. I appreciate your help there. Clayton, what's the first practical step towards stewardship for someone feeling overwhelmed? Great question. That's been my life for a long, long time. So in the opening monologue, I talked about using my AI tools that I've been cultivating and using for the last year and a half or so. About 2 years, well, my youngest granddaughter, Maddie, Madison. I live right by a street, Madison. I see it every day. It's so cute. But anyway, her father, my eldest son, when she was born, on the day she was born, I was there. His mom was there, and staying in the house and helping out, or really just being there. Grandbabies, best thing in the world. Granddaughters, even better, I believe. I don't have any grandsons, so I don't know, but I have a lot of sons that I've raised, or boys that I've raised. So he, when he was there, he introduced me to AI, and then started with just ChatGPT, free version, just a simple, what can I do? Writing emails, doing stuff. And he said, keep using it. And then he got me an automation. He started it, and then he said, now finish it. I've written in purposely a couple of errors. I want you to find them and fix them. That was tough. But anyway, so I started using those tools for my own personal finances. I've never been good with finance. I've been really good at making money, bringing it in. I've always had other people, my partners, my first wife, and then producer Barbie, or accountants or bookkeepers do my finances, because I've always just hated. I have no problem about doing the effort to bring the money in, but it's how it's spent that I've always been challenged with, or just not paid enough attention to. So now I'm changing that. And you know what? I'm changing that with AI. And to answer your question, Clayton, what's the first practical step towards stewardship? It's not just going out and looking for more money, which is obviously a good thing, because you need to be able to, in stewardship, you need to be able to support your, whatever it is, your family, yourself, me, my dogs, your combination is, you need to be able to support that. So the money coming in is always a good thing, obviously. But then my challenge, and a lot of people's challenge, is then what about the money going out? Where's it going to, and why? Why is it going there? What's the purpose? So AI and my agent, I haven't named them. I know some people are naming their agents now. Maybe I'll name it Clayton. One of them. I've got a bunch of them doing different things, but it's a good idea. I should name them. But that's more complicated, because that's just more work right now. So anyway, back to Clayton. So now, as I'm doing that look in the mirror and looking at the finances and asking AI those questions, my agents are, I literally put all the receipts that I've had over the last, since I moved here to Mangum. I'm starting it here at our Great Plains National Bank. That's my bank. And so to the point where all I had to do is take some pictures or copy and paste into my AI, and the agent is, it's got its own project. And so I'm going to continue to build that through. But by doing that, I cut out like 4 or 5 different subscriptions. I started by using Rocket Money, which costs you money, ironically. They're a business. I'm not condemning that, but they save you money, but you have to spend money to save the money. And it's not as, to me, I never got my head around it. So I canceled that subscription, and it's canceled a bunch of other ones that I didn't even know. Usually they come about when you do a free 3-month trial, and then they automatically keep billing you, and you may have forgot about it, or different things. So I'm using that now, and it told me, okay, this is the, and it knows exactly what those different companies are and what they do. Because AI is good for that. It's not creative. It's not a lot of things. It's not, but there are several things that are in its wheelhouse that are awesome. So now I've cut my budget down and what my weekly spend is. Plus, I've great idea to start a savings, but not to spend, just in case there's offsets of something that comes up that lands before it should, or I'm out of sequence in where the monthly dates, the monthly subscriptions or whatever come in. I need subscriptions. I use StreamYard. I use a lot of tools with StreamYard, including streaming out this episode. This episode is going out to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X or Twitter, and Instagram. So there's a lot of stuff that I need. The internet while at home here, Mangum City Library provides that for me here, obviously. Very powerful. I had one incident, and this is 452 shows now. Since September 7th of 2024, no, 2025. Yeah, 2024, since September 7th, so about a year and a half ago. In that time, we have done 450 now, 2 shows, 452 shows. And so anyway, back to Clayton here. The stewardship is showing up. Okay, let me pop into this. If you're overwhelmed, that's what I live in. That's what I've always kind of struggled with. Overwhelmed about money. Just what? Get some AI, man. What's the first practical step? Do what I did. Get ChatGPT, copy and paste, create a project. It's real simple to do. Very, very simple to do. You can type it or you can say it. Either one. First step, get organized. And when you get organized through something that's more organized than you, I would suggest. If you're an organized person, that's great. I'm not in that case. And do those simple steps I already suggested. And then the overwhelmed starts to dissipate. And I look at the next 3 to 4 months with this show growing and this new AI system that I put together, I see another level of financial freedom that is currently here right now, but the next level I'm really looking forward to. I hope that helped you out. And then we have Chris Hanna. Is financial avoidance more emotional than logical in your experience? Both. It is both. And in cases, whatever the specific case is, it's more one than the other. In other words, more emotional than it would be logical. But from my experience, I'd say most of it's logical. So if I'm avoiding something, it's because I don't avoiding something. Now, if you don't know about something, and that's unorganized, right? There's that, which I was just talking to Clayton about. Thanks again, Clayton, for the question. But Chris, for me, it's more avoidance is logical, because I'm looking at my account, I'm looking at the bill, I'm looking when they're due and what's happening, and they don't match up. So that's not emotional at that point, but and logical, maybe not right be the right word, what I was just referring to. But sometimes avoidance is okay if you're sitting back and not stewing, but marinating on a situation to make a decision. That's good, because we should never rush into something. We should make sure we have all the information. So we're calling that avoidance, but it's really preparation. But avoidance in its truest form, from my experience, has been from having a lack of the ability, certainly in periods of time, like here, starting this show, where we don't have, the show is still being at least partially funded now by my own personal reserves. For the year and a half, it's been all from my personal investments into the show, for all the things that we need to produce this. I mean, it takes several $1,000s a month just to produce 6 shows a week, between softwares and equipment, and not even about time, but and living and internet and all that stuff, right? So post-production, pre-production, all that stuff. So gives me a good point here. Please support the program. Join our Substack. Subscribe to the YouTube channel here. YouTube at Rodd Duff 1939. Join our Substack, InsideStraightTalk.substack.com. And these things can help me avoid paying bills. So support the program. Chris, I hope that helped you out there, brother. Cody caught. How do you rebuild authorship after old systems stop working? That was from the first show of the week. So it's a state of mind. In a lot of today's shows, this week's episodes, were about having that right state of mind, putting yourself in a position mentally to show up, to have responsibility, to support yourself and your family or your family. Those things are important. Those things matter. So to rebuild authorship, you take that state of mind. You literally look out and say, is my life in the right positioning of where I want it to be? Sure, financially, yes. But are you we talked about centurions this week. You guys probably know the term centurions. And we talked about a study I know about where they did this research on these groups. There are pockets of people all over the world, that there's pockets of centurions that the numbers far surpass a national or world average, right? And when they did this study, it was really interesting because they found it wasn't about food. The diets were all over the place, where the countries were, where they lived, and the food systems were all over the place. Here in the United States, in what state is that? It's I think it's Wyoming. But anyway, the centurions, the food all different, the nationalities all different, the elevations, the weather, where they lived, all different. But the one common denominator was they found that in those pockets there were things that caused people to have a mission, like a monk or different groups of. The point being is, after you retire, your life's mission is built in that thing that you retired from. And unless you continue a mission, people don't tend to live as long. I should say, people tend to live a lot longer when they have a mission in life. So when you're rebuilding authorship after the old system stops working, you're actually improving your life. The old system isn't working anymore. If you continue doing that system, then you'll have an average life, right? Good, bad, indifferent, something. When you rebuild that, or you pivot, or you continue, whatever the situation is, your life. I always talk about quality over quantity. What about both? What about having both? You've got quality, you've got a mission, and now you've got quantity. And it's good quantity, because it's quality quantity. I hope that helps, Cody. Still sitting around mid 300 people here. Please subscribe, like the episode. We're growing really well. And I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate the continued support. Danny, when does preparation cross into fear, and how do we stop that? When does preparation cross into fear, Danny, and how do we stop that? Well, I think you, Danny, I'd say this. If you have preparation, if you are prepared, typically fear is lower. So that's how you stop fear, is by stewardship, by working from the inside out, by preparing for whatever it is that needs to be prepared for. I mean, there's all sorts of things in life, right? So we need to prepare, because if we don't, then anxiety, fear rises. Okay? Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man. And I appreciate you being here. Allie Moore. Allie, what signals tell somebody it's time for a real reset? Ooh, great question. That's a really, really good question. So, anxiety, that's a signal. Obviously, boredom, that's a signal. Frustration, and I'm talking about continue, not moments, but continue. That's definitely a signal. What else? When you're not interacting with your environment in a way that's positive for you, meaning you have a positive output, you have a positive impact on those around you, that's when it's good for you, because if you're impacting other people well, that means you're well. You're well, right? All of those things that I just said, those are definitely signals. And Allie, you probably need a reset. But the question is, don't reset for reset's sake, right? You need to reset towards something that empowers you, that gives you a mission, that gives you happiness. The old saying is so true, so true. What a happy human does is they they find something that gives them joy, absolute joy and mission and purpose, and make that your job. Make that your income. So if any of those other signals exist, think about how to reset and what to reset to. Hope that helps you out. Appreciate you being here, man. Dirk. Ah, what a handsome guy there in your red tie. What is the biggest myth people believe about stewardship? I'll answer this a slightly differently. And if you want me to come back to it, I will. But I'm not going to say it as a myth. But I think the thing that people think about the most, that would be a myth. Okay, we'll go with that. Is so stewardship is about providing, right? It's about providing. And in the example I'm talking about, providing money, providing dignity, providing the ability to live your life not in fear. So that's stewardship, right? Showing up, providing. Those two things together are stewardship. So the biggest myth is, to me, is that, people think money is associated with greed. And there are cases, right? But money isn't about greed. It's about stewardship. Money going out, money coming in. Having stewardship with that is a very, very, very good thing. And making money or wanting to provide by making money is not greed. That's the biggest myth that I would point to. Thank you again. I appreciate that. Dirk, sorry. Joey Davila. What a cool name. That's an awesome name. What does providing really mean in today's economy? Woo. Means a lot of things. Today's economy is a strange economy for different people, for different reasons. Today's economy is, it's very traditional, don't get me wrong, but it's evolving, because the economy today is, well, one, it's stressed. I mean, people are living still paycheck to paycheck. We got a lot of work to do, folks. We got a lot of stuff to do. And it starts here. It starts here on the show, and I appreciate that with you guys' awesome questions as always, your insights, your adding to the party, so to speak. That is an amazing thing. And at the end of the day, with the AI and all the way the economy is changing, providing means your current situation stabilized and looking over the horizon to what's coming and comparing to that to what you're doing, comparing to that of what brings you joy. That's what providing is in today's economy. Great show, folks. Hey, I want to thank you all for being here. As I said earlier, I'm going to go. I've got a couple of meetings. We're doing the Regeneration School program in Leaf Lab. So a lot of things going on this afternoon. Very excited about. Please join our Substack. And no, you know what? Let me just do this. I'm out.
Before you leave, if you'd like to watch another one of the podcasts, click the first link in the description. We love having you here, and we appreciate all your support.
And with that, producer Barbie and I are out.